upset on the internet.
Hi everybody and welcome to Retro Station 1989. I am Commander Dan, the commander and lone human inhabitant aboard the Retro Station. Along with me for the ride are Margot, our station's AI, Cambot Jr., our video system, and Splat, my buddy and assistant researcher. And this is License to Play. This is a show where we evaluate games based on licensed properties. You know, things like movies, TV shows, fast food mascots, heck, even beverages, cartoons, breakfast cereal, and celebrities. If it's a retro game based on one of those things, then we evaluate it. Why? Well, my sponsors from Planet X placed me as a favor to me aboard this wonderful station to send them evaluations of our dangerous messages broadcast into space, in this case, video games. So, today we're going to depart from the world of high adventure and combat of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Goodbye, my hero. You know, he's a wonderful guy. He comes out here and does all kinds of things for charities and everything. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to come here and, you know, play in terrible games and some okay ones based upon movies that I was in and these kinds of things. When they make a movie about Junior where I'm pregnant and all of this, then I want to see a video game, text adventure, like original Zork. Do it. And put that cookie down. What was that? Oh, I must have been possessed by the spirit of Arnold Month. Well, anyway, we're stepping into the real world this time. The world of combat sports. Now, I know I said we weren't going to step into sports titles at the very beginning. If you check the first episode. Don't. It's orange, and I look really, really huge and idiotic, and I make a lot of fucking windbaggery things. I don't want to worry about it, okay? So, anyway, that being said, I said we weren't going to talk about sports games like golf and baseball and football, but for the most part, we're not ever going to do that. However, this week's title was found for literally pennies on the dollar at Midwest Gaming Classic 2022. That's right, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Midwest Gaming Classic, where I got to meet my fellow YouTubers and amazing people, Pat Contry, who I got to thank in person for his letting me use some of his footage. Oh, and the gaming historian, that was incredibly fun. And also all the folks from Channel Awesome. Tamara and Malcolm, who've been on the show, and everyone else, including Heather Roos and the rest of the production team, who are just incredible. Gaming from every era is at MGC, pinball machines, tournaments, and so much more. The next one is coming spring of 2023, and I gotta say, I cannot wait to meet you fine space pirates there. Next year, I'm helping with the tabletop area, and will be there to sign icons and throw down some commissions and run some games for you. So we'll see you there, I hope. Oh, and this final shout-out is for Universal Collectibles in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, where I picked up the game for this week's evaluation. Now back to the show. Oh.
Commander Dan, we've got some flux emissions bursts transmitting from the Vega quadrant. I will try to run them through the Universal Translator and bring you online with whoever is broadcasting.
Oh, thanks, Margot. I thought the Vega quadrant, I thought it was mostly empty, right? Like, except for that fast food place that we got that wonderful salad from, but my fries were eaten by a friend of mine who... Nope. It's not yet the holiday season, but remember your promise. Splat is cool now. Okay. Well, I thought the fast food place was only there in, that planet of cannibal chimps.
Correct, Commander. I will attempt contact and notify Planet X's security forces to mount a rescue if needed.
Great thinking. Today, we're going to go back to... Wait, a rescue? For them or for us?
Fingers and diodes crossed, Commander.
Okay. Well, let's get that translated right away. So today, we're going to talk about, well, the origins of a sport that in this day and age is a mainstream, beloved, and well-respected pastime. Mixed martial arts. Now, I've already shown to all of you wonderful people out there that I am a karate man. All right? You've seen my skills of an artist. A martial artist. I have hands of dinosaur bone and muscle. made of high-tension wire, with the reflexes of a goat, high on cocaine sandwiches. So I'm thoroughly indoctrinated in the ways of the
Commander?
warrior. So,
Commander?
huh? You're right. Let's just take a look at the history of people beating the crap out of each other for our entertainment. And maybe you'll learn to be as kick-ass as your commander. Maybe half. But take it away, Cambot. Fighting. Kicking ass. Taking names. Opening a factory exclusively dedicated to the shipping of cans of individually wrapped whoop-ass on a fool. That's right. We're talking about conflict. But in humanity's long history of conflict, interpersonal conflicts are usually the most, well, there's no other way to say it, entertaining. From the days when people would fistfight with leather or cloth-wrapped hands in a so-called ring made up of a rope and smelly dock workers and ne'er-do-wells, maybe a cow fence covered in poop, all the way to today, where there are more ne'er-do-wells but fewer poop-covered cages. People love a good fight in every form. From TV to movies, from the boxing ring to the pageantry of the wrestling ring, fighting for people's innate bloodthirst for whoop-ass is here to stay. Our story regarding this particular license begins in a tough town, filled with tough, hard-ass individuals, and 2 words on a barroom flyer: Toughman competition. I live in a world of rough-hewn streets, filled with the most dangerous foes. Ninjas, dudes with bats with poor coordination, and with all my skills in karate, I have defeated one and all, on the streets, in the dojo, and even on a playground. Yes, a child has taken many a kick from me after throwing the kickball at me. Parents beware, for I am a black belt. I am from a place so hard even diamonds can't crack under the pressure. I mean can crack under the... Anyway, you see that fighting games? They're what I'm all about. And today's game is one of my favorites. The story behind this license is crazy, to say the least. Kimba Jr., hit it with your fists of fear. Oh, you don't have hands. Operate the inner mechanics to make the video play. Take a look. This is 1979. I was 4. But honestly, when this evaluations license was being created, little did I know that it would be on the periphery of my childhood and transform over time into something insane. There's a great documentary called Tough Guys. Let's start with some quick facts about where and when the Tough Guy contest actually began. The where is Pennsylvania, and the when is the beginning of the 80s, just as the world was turning against manufacturing and Pennsylvania's steelworkers and workers in general were losing footing financially and their strength in the working marketplace. Bill Viola and his partner, fellow martial artist Frank Caligiuri, who hosted martial arts tournaments in the Pittsburgh area, were constantly asked, can karate beat a brick? Can karate beat a gun? Frank Caligiuri was asked while putting up a karate tournament flyer. A man asked him, you really think that stuff's any good? You're just a little guy. You think you could take me? Frank, with his cold, cold voice, just says, do your mother a favor. Sit back down and drink more beer. And so it was that these 2 very tough guys looked for non-professional men to compete in a tournament to see who was the legit toughest guy in town. They looked at blacksmiths, loggers, steelworkers out of work, street fighters, badasses, karate champs, loudmouth chumps.
Mugs, pugs, thugs, nitwits, halfwits, dimwits, vipers, snipers, con men, Indian agents, Mexican bandits, muggers, buggerers, bushwhackers, hornswagglers, horse thieves, bull dykes, train robbers, bank robbers, ass kickers, shit kickers, and Methodists.
For sure, this was a great idea. In just a few months, the venues were sold out and standing room only. These men were ready to tear each other apart in the ring, and everyone was bloodthirsty for action. 1980, and the first 2 men in the ring were Dave, a student of Bill, and Mike, a student of Frank Caligiuri. Before the fight, due to an altercation in that back room area, these 2 were pissed at one another. And in the fight, they threw haymakers, roundhouse kicks, knees, and after the dust settled, Mike, the more trained fighter, had won the match. And the newspaper said, we are witnessing the dawn of a new sport. And yes, it was very apparent that people wanted to see folks test themselves against one another. and to see which discipline would win in a fight between boxing, karate and the martial arts, wrestling, etc. So, there was a new sport, and there was a separate organization in Michigan who did a boxing-only Toughman competition, which is what our game is derived from, which was an amateurs-only boxing competition for big money, like 50 grand, a tournament. I think that the originators of MMA were the tough guys, but the dude from Michigan went on with the Toughman tournaments, and while both were different, they were each the seeds of the current MMA tree that throws shade across the land of combat sports. But the real license here isn't just the word tough man or tough guy. Let's take a look at why this game was made and why it was made about the license. Aw, look at this little kid. What a cutie little patoot, huh? This little kid is Eric Esch. His family nicknamed him Butterbean because he was cute as a butterbean. But that name, Butterbean, for fight fans, has a connotation that ought to send chills down your spine. Eric Esch was a kickboxer, a boxer, but made his name as king of the four rounders in the Toughman competition. Let's take a look at the man his parents had the gall to call cute as a butterbean. Warning: Eric Esch throws punches like they're surprise showers for a newborn case of CTE. Holy shit, did you see that? Ah, oh my god. Oh, watch this. Watch this. It's like watching a bear slap a salmon out of a river. And if you're a jackass, sorry, Butterbean's got no love for you. Oh, that's just wrong. And if you're the baddest wrestler in a tournament of jackasses, let's see how you'd ruin a career in 34 seconds. Oh, he's seeing Jesus right now. Yep, and telling him how he got beat up by a greasy little round man named Butterbean. Suffice to say, getting in a fight with Butterbean is how you tell your brains you'd like them to function less and with more epilepsy immediately. People have underestimated Eric to their dismay shortly after their neurons and synapses are shredded like a Hulk Hogan t-shirt. He may look like someone animated, then gave meth to a butterball turkey, then explained what Thanksgiving is to it and where their family happened to be in November. But in reality, Butterbean is all anger, muscle, and damage. This is Toughman Competition, featuring Butterbean. This dude's so badass, here he is standing on someone's neck while he looks up to God, screaming taunts, daring God to give this bastard diabetes. Yeah, but this game says wimps need not apply, but it's much more than its license, actually. Inside this case is, for the time, one of the great boxing fight sims out there, but with a sense of humor and surreality that the whole genre of Toughman or tough guy tournaments have around them. It's like a circus for your eyes and ears.
Commander, we're still working on translating the message. Are you well?
Sure. Thanks, Margot. CBJ, let's go ahead and start this evaluation. And Margot, can we do something about the heat in here? Is it just me, or has the temperature of the retro station gone up a lot? EA Sports. Before they were an abominable mass of greedy mouths just waiting to slurp up all the money in front of them and monopolize the NFL and FIFA licenses to churn out remakes of shit we've seen over and over since the dawn of video games, they were once actually gamers. And they actually had a sense of, oh my god, fun. But if you want to know more about that, check out Angry Joe's rants every single year about Madden, or any one of James Stephanie Sterling's rants about, well, any video games, and you'll get a broader view of why current EA is a festering ball of half-assery and greed, and while I still like the game that we're going to talk about today, even though its creators became little more than carny-ass slot machine peddlers. This game was designed by Michael Rubinelli and developed by EA by Visual Concepts. You may know them from Harry's Humongous Adventure and Madden 94 on the SNES, or one of their biggest and most impressive games on SNES and Genesis, the fighting game Weapon Lord. This time, the game came out for SEGA only, because SEGA was pushing their new add-on system for the Genesis called the 32X. During that time, they were putting out versions of their gaming library for the Genesis and Mega Drive and 32X at the same time. So this game came out for both the Genesis and 32X, but not the SNES. So while this game is based on the Toughman contest, this was the amateur boxing tourneys, not the MMA hybrid tournaments, and like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the boss of the game is the fighter the title is licensed after. And in this case, it's Butterbean, the battlin' Butterbean from Bama, the spherical psycho, the big fat bomber, the last thing you'll see before permanent brain damage, Eric Esch, Butter effin' bean. The matches are set in 2 locations for each division. The American division has a mountain town lumber mill in Las Vegas. The Central American Mexican division has the Cantina. The European division has the Coliseum. And each division uses Vegas as the championship arena, where you face off with Butterbean, which you will need to prep for. He fights like you stole his lunch from the works fridge on the day he just got fired. The fighters reflect the 90s, and some of the names are just mwah, vintage 90s in both racial sensitivity and seeking the approval of the team demo. Guys like PJ Rock, who looks like the lead singer from Soul Asylum. Coolio Loke, who wants to take you on a ride on a fantastic Wild Thing voyage with some funky cold Medina. Rigo Suave. No, not that one. It's... no, that's Weird Al. We're talking about Rigo with a G, Suave. The very sensitive to other cultures' names like Jabfar El Habib, Oy vey, Cheng Fu, and Hiro Sakatomi. Sakatomi? Gee, bus. It was a different time, folks. Meaning no one complained because they were afraid Butterbean would cave in their skulls, probably. Anyway, the fights are peppered with gratuitous TNA with the ring girls and some pretty hilarious background animations. I'm only going to show you one of them, but the game is loaded with them. You can probably get this game for $5. You should go out and get it. Trust me. Your boxer gets 3 super punches to use during the match, and once you've mastered those, you'll find Butterbean a pussycat. But most folks will end up like our friend Johnny here. Ugh. Johnny Knoxville's concussion was so bad he had to stop shooting for a month. So the question I put to you is, are you a tough enough guy or gal to beat the stuffing out of people with all the boxing experience of a guy who knows what Punch-Out is but has never played a Nintendo? And more importantly, the main question, which is... God, it's hot. Jesus. It's so hot. We gotta really check what's going on here. I think maybe there's something in the ducts. Splat, if you've been eating wires again, I'll put a fruitcake up here. Oh! Cambot, you're supposed to put the red light on when we're back, please, and thank you. All right, everybody. What was I saying? Okay, we'll count down, and then Cambot, you hit the thing, okay? 3, 2, 1, let's jam. All right. So, does Toughman competition for the Sega Genesis and 32X have a license to play? Yeah, of course. This game is spectacular in terms of a fighting sim, and as a boxing game, it's a lot of fun. It's not quite as tough as Real Deal Holyfield Boxing, which was based on a really crappy arcade game, nor is it as tough as George Foreman for Real Boxing, which is a great boxing simulator, somewhere between Punch-Out and George Foreman. You've got 30 characters, you got Butterbean, you got great backgrounds, colorful graphics, and for the Sega Genesis, I think this one runs like $5-6, tops. So, this one has a license to play. Now, I gotta tell you folks, something is wrong here aboard the Retro Station. I don't know what it is. We're gonna figure it out though. And once we've got that message descrambled, debuffed, and learned, and all that other stuff, we will be back to comfortable aboard this ship. I have another evaluation coming up, and I've got some more modifications to make to the Retro Station, so that ought to be good. And next week's evaluation, all right? I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for the next evaluation. But I got to give you a hint so you can win a no prize. So, it's no longer Arnold month, but next week, we're going to evaluate a title you won't be able to get out of your head ever. Let's just say it's an earworm that you haven't heard in either a very long time or ever in your life. But once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. So, that's it for me and all of us aboard the Retro Station. No matter what I've said during this evaluation or any other thing I've ever said, here or over on Twitch, where the Retro Station 1989, we stream several times a week. Please run by and follow if you want to know when we're on there. I also run reruns of the show, so you can actually watch them all at once if you like. And more than that, and more than anything I'll say in the future aboard these shows or anything else, remember to always, always, always stay retro.
Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the intranet. You're a salt adult. Throwing out a hissy fit, your views ain't in the millions, and every up and comer is a threat to